I'm going to give you a technical walkthrough of a demo app that I built using the NexaSDK. This demo app is a clinical transcription app, which means that it takes an audio input either from your microphone or from an audio file. And then the app will be able to create a transcription of that audio input and generate a summary out of it using what's called SOAP template. So how I build this with the NexaSDK is that first you want to go to docs.nexa.ai and read their official documentation. You can find the latest package version number from this quick start page. The very first thing you want to do is to include this package into your build configuration file. Here I have it in my build.gradles. And once you have this package imported, you will need to call this NexaSDK.get instance.init to initialize the runtime of this NexaSDK package, because I'm fine with it running for the entire lifecycle of my app. So I have it at the very top level, but you could also choose to initialize whenever you need it and make it only last through a subsection of your app. This will be the prerequisite for initializing any models and running any model inference. So please don't forget to call this init method before you move on. And then for my app, I had to use one ASR model, which is Parakeet model, for transcribing the audio input into text output. I also have two different LLM models for the summary stage. One is a smaller LLM, which is a Liquid Foundation Model 2.5, that will help me to transcribe each smaller segment of the transcript output in case the transcription output is too long to run through one run. The Qwen3-4B model, it will get the compressed information from the output of the LFM models and follow that SOAP template to give the final summary. Since I have several models that are relatively small, I chose to directly bundle them into the assets folder. I have a model manager class that helped me to copy over the models files from the assets folder into the proper app directory so that they can be discovered at runtime and be loaded into the NexaSDK runtime. If you do have multiple models that are larger and you find it hard to bundle them with your APK, you can also choose to transform this model manager class into a downloader class that download the model files at runtime. Once you have the model files ready, I have this ASR engine class that will ensure those model files are properly placed, and then use this wrapper.builder initializer to load the model into your app. The usage of those APIs can also be found on the NexaSDK documentation. Once the model is successfully initialized, you will be able to run inference. For ASR model, this will be the transcribe API. This is where you actually give it the audio input and get the text output as response. For LLM models, it will be very, very similar, except that I loaded two different models here. One of them is the summarizer model that's based on the Liquid Foundation model, and the other is the summary creator using a Qwen model. And then I have the dedicated function for generating the SOAP summary and dedicated function for getting the summaries for each transcript segment. If you have your model inference class ready, you will then want to wire them to your UI. I'll use ASR as an example. For this transcribe method, I will call them in background coroutine so that they won't be blocking the UI, and also make sure they are not coupled with specific UI view model lifecycle, so that even if you exit a certain UI, they can still run in the background to complete the inference. And this background coroutine is launched whenever the user enters this note detail screen. It will automatically trigger. So in the app, if you enter the screen of a particular note, it will directly trigger this transcription process and run the model inference in the background, so that even if you add particular page, the transcription will still be in progress. That's basically how I build the entire app using NexaSDK with three different models. All of them are running on NPU. One note you should keep in mind is that you want to be very careful with this plugin ID when you initialize the model, because I have GGUF model files in my app and also this Nexa proprietary model files that are developed by Nexa. They will be using different plugin IDs. For GGUF, you have to use this CPU GPU plugins. While for this Parakeet NPU models, I had to use NPU plugin. So be very careful with that and make sure you read through the documentation page before you go ahead for implementation. That's all for this technical walkthrough. I hope it's helpful, and I hope to see your own AI application powered by NexaSDK.